has drafted a few moments ago. CABSEC Carlo Nograles will now read the guidelines of the enhanced community quarantine for the entire Luzon.
Maraming salamat, Secretary Martin Andanar. Mga kababayan, magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Narito po ang guidelines on the imposition of an enhanced community quarantine and the stringent social distancing measures over the entire Luzon, including the National Capital Region, effective at 12 midnight of 17 March 2020 and expiring on 12 midnight of 13 April 2020. Therefore, the following shall be implemented. Number 1, classes and all school activities in all levels shall continue to be suspended until 14 April 2020. The same directives to the Department of Education, Commission on Higher Education, Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, and such other regulatory agencies, LGUs, and the Department of the Interior and Local Government with respect to the class suspension are reiterated. Number 2, mass gatherings shall be prohibited. Number 3, a strict home quarantine shall be observed in all households. Movement shall be limited to accessing basic necessities. Provision for food and essential health services shall be regulated. And there will be heightened presence of uniformed personnel to enforce quarantine procedures. Number 4, a work-from-home arrangement shall be implemented in the executive branch except the PNP, AFP, PCG, and Health and Emergency Frontline Services, Border Control, and other critical services, which shall ensure a skeletal workforce. Number 5, only those private establishments providing basic necessities and such activities related to food and medicine production, i.e., public markets, supermarkets, groceries, convenience stores, hospitals, medical clinics, pharmacies, and drug stores, food preparation and delivery services, water refilling stations, manufacturing and processing plants of basic food products and medicines, banks, money transfer services, power, energy, water, and telecommunications supplies and facilities shall be open. In all such open establishments, their respective managements shall ensure the adoption of a strict skeletal workforce to support operations, as well as all strict social distancing measures. Business process outsourcing establishments and export-oriented industries shall remain operational, subject to the condition that strict social distancing measures are observed, their respective personnel are provided appropriate temporary accommodation arrangements by 18 March 2020, and that a skeletal workforce shall be implemented. Media personnel shall be allowed to travel within the quarantine area, provided that within 72 hours from the issuance of this memorandum, media personnel intending to travel within the quarantine area shall secure an identification card from the Presidential Communications Operations Office. For purposes of the foregoing, transit to and from the above establishments anywhere within the area covered by the enhanced community quarantine shall be allowed. Security personnel of the establishments in the contained area shall likewise be allowed to travel within the quarantine area. Number 6, mass public transport facilities shall be suspended. And number 7, land, air, and sea travel shall be restricted. Outbound passengers intending to depart the Philippines from any of the international airports in Luzon shall be allowed to travel for a period of 72 hours from effectivity of the enhanced community quarantine. Inbound international passengers in transit upon effectivity of the enhanced community quarantine shall be allowed entry, subject to applicable quarantine procedures if coming from countries with existing travel restrictions imposed by the IATF. All inbound Filipino citizens, including their foreign spouse and children, if any, holders of permanent resident visa and holders of 9E diplomat visas issued by the Philippine government shall be allowed entry subject to applicable quarantine procedures if coming from countries with existing travel restrictions imposed by the IATF. The movement of cargoes within, to, and from the entire Luzon shall be unhampered. For this purpose, guidelines for the accompanying crew or personnel of transiting cargoes shall be formulated by the Department of Transportation. Land, air, and sea travel of uniformed personnel for official business, especially those transporting medical supplies, laboratory specimens related to the COVID-19 and other humanitarian assistance shall be allowed. And the Department of Social Welfare and Development and Department of Labor and Employment, in coordination with the Department of Finance, Department of Budget and Management, and Department of Trade and Industry, shall formulate programs, projects, and measures for the social amelioration of affected workers and residents of the area subject of the enhanced community quarantine. These measures may include, but shall not be limited to, moratorium on lease rentals, advancing a prorated 13th month pay, reprieve in utility bills, and assistance to micro, small, and medium-scale enterprises. The DSWD is further directed to institute measures to expedite the distribution of food assistance to the most affected residents of the entire Luzon. Failure to abide by the foregoing guidelines and measures shall be subjected to appropriate action, both criminal and administrative, in accordance with relevant laws and regulations. For this purpose, the Department of Justice is directed to initiate appropriate charges as may be warranted. The IATF, together with the Executive Secretary, Cabinet Secretary, Secretaries of National Defense, Environment and Natural Resources, Trade and Industry, Social Welfare and Development, Finance, Education, Agriculture, Chief of Staff of the AFP, Heads of the Philippine Army, Philippine Navy, Philippine Air Force, PCG, and the PNP, and such other agencies or entities as the IATF may invite, shall continue to convene daily to study and continuously review the measures and guidelines in addressing the COVID-19 situation until such time that the health event subsides. The IATF, through the DOH, is directed to disseminate information to the public on the steps and measures to be undertaken relative to the COVID-19 situation during the period of enhanced community quarantine for the entire Luzon for immediate compliance. Thank you very much.
Can we have Secretary Anyo or question and answer? MPC? Maricel?
Sir, good evening. Sir, just a clarification about the suspension of mass transport, meaning LRT, MRT, bus, and jeepney, wala po talaga.
Yes, that's correct.
Pero yung mga private vehicles are allowed to travel. Pwede po yun.
Yes. But only for those who are exempted. Kasi
Okay,
may
what
mga
is
exemptions tayo sa public and sa private establishments. For government, meron po tayong exemptions, di ba? Especially the frontline services. And then sa private establishments, meron tayong mga exemptions. But mass transportation will be suspended.
Meaning, sir, yung mga private cars of ordinary people, they are not allowed to travel, even if they're going out.